a large number of sellers in the and the type of the product is non-differentiated or commodity type. And we also saw how the optimum uh, level of how profit can be maximized in a perfect competition. So from today, we will talk about a monopoly and how profit can be maximized in a monopoly. So in a monopoly is characterized by some features. So the most important feature is that there is only a single firm which operates in a monopoly. In other words, uh, the same a single firm is the whole industry because there is no other company which is operating in the same business because of several reasons. But the point here is that industry and company are same because there is only one firm in the market. So market and firm both are same thing because there is only one firm which is uh, selling a unique product in the market. So the second point that differentiates a monopoly from other types of market is that the type of the product that a monopoly firm sells has no substitute. There is no substitute of the product which is sold by a monopoly firm. So this is another feature. If other firms are allowed to sell the same product, in that case, the type of the market cannot be termed as a monopoly market because in that case, the market will become will not be a monopoly market. So the first feature is that there is only a single firm. The second feature of a monopoly is that uh, no substitute product, no substitute product, no substitute product. Uh, and the third feature is entry to the market is blocked. So a new entrant or a new firm cannot enter into a monopoly market. In a monopoly market is the entry in a monopoly market is restricted or blocked. This is the third important feature of a monopoly market. The fourth feature or characteristic of a monopoly market is that the information on prices are imperfect. Uh, what is meant by this fourth point is that since there is only a single firm, so what will be the price and what are the factors that are impacting the price of the product is not available in the market. So as compared to a perfect competition or a perfectly competitive market, the information regarding the prices are not available in case of a monopoly. And the monopoly firm has control over the price. A monopoly, as we talked in the previous lectures, that in a monopoly market, the firm is a price maker, not a price taker, but a price maker. So since the firm is a price maker, so we cannot predict the behavior of the what will be the behavior of that firm regarding the price. So the information on prices is also imperfect. There can be several reasons and sources why a monopoly market exists. The basic reason why a monopoly exists is that sometimes a key resource is owned by a single firm. Key resource, a key resource that is used for the production of a particular product or service. There are various types of resources that we know. Human resource, intellectual capital is also one form of human resource. Then it may be a physical thing, say for example, a land or machinery, or it can be a patent or it can be a license, it can be uh, access to some natural resource. So, but the basic point here is that some key resource is owned by a single firm. A single firm owns a key resource which is not accessible or which is not owned by other firms, or it is very difficult to own that key resource or to own that key resource by other firms. Sometimes governments provide exclusive right or patent to certain firms. For example, in India, we have a good example of IRCTC. So IRCTC enjoys a monopoly in the market of train ticket booking. So if we consider train ticket booking service as a market, then IRCTC has complete monopoly over this market, because train ticket cannot be booked by taking the services of any other website or firm or company. And this monopoly of IRCTC is because of government uh, regulation or government licensing, because the government has provided the license of train ticket booking to IRCTC, and the same service cannot be provided by any other uh, travel agency or any other company. So sometimes the government is the source of monopoly, and some other times the monopoly can be of the nature of natural. The source of monopoly can be natural. Say, for example, we already know about the concept of economies of scale, that if a firm produces something at a large scale, the unit cost of production reduces. This is known as economies of scale. So when a firm becomes so large that the unit cost of production has reduced for that firm, the same economies of scale can act as a barrier to the entry, because for new firms cannot produce at such a large level. Uh, Say, for example, the example of natural monopoly could be water supply, electricity transmission, natural gas. Uh, so, so normally these type utility providers enjoy a kind of monopoly. Say, for example, in NCR region, Indraprastha Gas enjoys a kind of monopoly in the supply of gas. Similarly, in the Mumbai metropolitan area, uh, Mahanagar Gas enjoys a kind of monopoly. Similar is the case with electricity transmission companies also. So we can fit in these examples from the point of view of natural monopoly, because they have they are enjoying the benefit of economies of scale, because they are already operating at such a large level that if that is not possible for new players. Uh, the same concept, if we can be understood from a different perspective, that is high cost of entry. Sometimes the nature of the business is that a huge investment is required in the business. Even, I mean, we cannot start from a small scale. So a huge investment is required, and the requirement of huge outlay itself acts as a barrier to the entry. The requirement of huge investment sometimes acts as a barrier to entry in the business, in the market. Example of this includes nuclear power. So not in a new firm, it's very difficult for a new firm to establish a nuclear power reactor, because the cost of initial cost is very high, which is not possible for most of the firms. Another example could be space exploration. So I don't think Tesla has any competitor. So Tesla kind of enjoys a monopoly over this market, that is space exploration.
So there is Blue Origin.
What Waqas? What you said?
So there is Blue Origin, sir. Which is sir, headed by Amazon CEO Bezos. In space, sir, sir, there is a competitor, sir, by
Uh,
name sir Blue Origin.
Blue,
Blue Origin, sir.
Blue Orgy. Okay, okay. So now the next point that I want to explain to you is what is the optimum level of output for a firm which is a monopoly firm. So like in case of perfect competition, the optimum level of operation, the optimum level at which the profit of a firm is maximized is the level at which marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Same is the case with monopoly also, but the difference in perfect competition and the monopoly is that in case of monopoly, there is no difference between market and firm because the market is the firm, and in case of perfect competition, the demand is given, the price is given, the demand is given for a particular firm. Uh, the demand is unlimited; it can sell at any amount of product in a perfect competition. But in a monopoly market, the demand curve is downward sloping. This is another difference between a perfect competition and a monopoly market. So the difference is that a monopoly's demand curve is the same as the demand curve for the product, and we all know that the demand curve is always downward sloping. Downward sloping means if we increase the price, the quantity demanded will come down. So there is inverse relationship between the price and the demand, the quantity demanded for a particular product. So that is why the demand curve is always downward sloping, which is not the case in case of perfect competition. In case of perfect competition, for a single firm, the demand is a straight line. So if the demand curve is written so that the price is a function of quantity, price is a function of quantity, P is equal to A minus BQ, where P is price and Q is quantity. A is some fixed component and B is the coefficient of Q. Total revenue is given by, total revenue can also be written as price multiplied by quantity. Price per unit multiplied by quantity. So total revenue is equal to AQ minus BQ square. This is actually square, BQ square. So marginal revenue can be calculated by differentiating this equation, that is marginal revenue is equal to differential of total revenue divided by differential of quantity, and total revenue is equal to AQ minus BQ square. Total revenue is equal to AQ minus BQ square. So if we differentiate this equation with respect to Q, that is quantity, so that will give us, uh, actually, I'm not taking up any example of calculus. Okay, so the point here is that we can calculate the marginal revenue using calculus also. The demand curve is a straight line, and in this case, the marginal revenue curve has twice the slope of demand curve. So the marginal revenue curve will always be below, So if the demand curve is like this, the marginal revenue curve will be below this. So this is average revenue and this is marginal revenue. Average revenue is also demand. Don't get confused between AR and demand. Both are same thing. Average revenue is equal to demand. So our average revenue curve and demand curve will be same. So the marginal revenue will always be, the marginal revenue curve will always be below average revenue curve. So let us see how this relationship can be depicted. So this is an example. Marginal revenue, as we all know, that is the change in total revenue resulting from a 1 unit increase in the output. Change in total revenue resulting from one additional unit of output, that is called marginal revenue. So in this table, the price is given in the first column. In the second column, the quantity is given. You may notice that there is a inverse relationship. There is a negative relationship. The price is decreasing and the quantity demanded is increasing. This is decreasing, this is increasing. So this is what happens because of the natural law of demand, that at a higher price, lower quantity will be demanded, and at a lower price, higher quantity of the same product will be demanded, which happens in the case of a normal product, most of the products. There are exceptions to this law, but normally this happens. The third column is total revenue, which is the multiplication of P and Q. P and Q. P is price, Q is the quantity. So if you multiply P by Q, just keep multiplying this. And you will get total revenue. 6 multiplied by 0, 0. 0 revenue. 0 means the firm is not able to sell any quantity. So of course, in that case, the total revenue will be 0. If the firm is selling one unit, then at a price of 5, then the total revenue will be 5 multiplied by 1, that is 5. 4 multiplied by 2, likewise. 1 multiplied by 5, that is 5. So you may notice the behavior of total revenue, which is initially increasing from 0 to 5, then 8, then 9, then it starts decreasing from 9 to 8, then 5. In the fourth column, the marginal revenue has been computed. From the definition, we know that marginal revenue is the change in the total revenue resulting from 1 unit increase in the output. So since the output is already increasing by 1 unit, that is 0 to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So the change is 1. The change is 1. So there is no need of the denominator. We can just take the change in the total revenue as the marginal revenue. So here you may notice the change is 5. Then 5 to 8, the change is 3. Then 8 to 9, the change is 1. Then 9 to 8, the change is minus 1. Then 8 to 5, the change is minus 3. So the marginal revenue is nothing but change in total revenue divided by change in quantity. Since the change in quantity, this portion is 1, so we can ignore this part and we can focus only on the change in total revenue. So this is the fourth column. Average revenue is total revenue divided by quantity, that is Q. Total revenue divided by Q, that is total average revenue. So total revenue is in the third column, and the quantity is given in the second column. So just divide this total revenue by the quantity and we will get the average revenue. So in the graphical form, this will look something like this. Average revenue will keep declining, and marginal revenue will also keep declining. In other words, the slope of marginal revenue as well as the average revenue, that is the demand, will both be the slope will be downward, and the rate of downward slope in the marginal revenue will be more than the slope of average revenue, or the marginal revenue curve will be below average revenue curve. So this is some basic thing. You may notice this in this tabular presentation also, that the rate of change in the marginal revenue is higher. The rate of change is bigger than the rate of change in the average revenue. So, so the same behavior in the form of graph can be shown like this, that the slope in the marginal revenue curve will be more than the slope of the average revenue curve. And these are some basic things. If the marginal revenue is more than marginal cost, of course, if the revenue is more than marginal cost, the monopolist gains profit by increasing output. If marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, the monopolist gains profit by decreasing output. And if marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, the monopolist is maximizing profit. So in the initially we talked about this point, that this is the point, the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, or marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. This is the point where the profit of the monopolist is maximum. So if marginal revenue is more than marginal cost, in that case, the monopolist can increase his profit or her profit by increasing the level of output. And if marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, the monopolist gains or can maximize the profit by decreasing the output. So,
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So in the previous slide, please repeat the third point.
This for a monopolist, the point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost is the point of maximum profit for the firm. Is the point of maximum profit for the monopoly. See, in a monopoly market, there is only a single firm, and the single firm is producing a single product. So the question here is, how much quantity of the product should be manufactured by that firm, which is a monopoly firm, or which is a monopolist. So the answer is, for a monopolist, the point of maximum profit is the point where the marginal revenue of that monopolist is equal to marginal cost. That point is the point of maximum profit for the monopolist. And the first and second point are cases where marginal revenue is more than marginal cost and marginal revenue is less than marginal cost. In that case, the monopolist can adjust the level of production. In the first case, the monopolist will increase the output to maximize the profit. But in the second case, if the marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, the monopolist will reduce the level of production, will reduce the Q. We are basically talking about Q. What Q is the optimum level? Q is the output. What Q is the optimum level to maximize the profit? So the answer is the level where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. That level of production is optimum. For optimum means that is the level where the profit of the monopolist is maximum. In graphically, the same thing can be shown like this. Look in this graph. So Q is the output level at which MR is. So this is the curve. This is AR curve, average revenue curve or demand curve. This is marginal revenue curve, which is below AR. Then we have to find out the marginal cost curve of the company, as well as the average cost curve. And the point where MR is equal to MC, that point is the point of maximum profit for a monopolist. So this is marginal revenue curve, this is marginal revenue curve, and this is marginal cost curve. So marginal cost curve is equal to marginal revenue at this point. At this point. So if we link this point, the corresponding Q is this. The corresponding quantity is this. So if this is the optimum level of output for a monopolist. So this is the total revenue region. This is what? Total revenue. This is what? Total revenue. Total revenue is what? Price multiplied by Q. This is Q, Q star, and this is P star. So if we multiply P star by Q star, that will give us total revenue of the company. So whatever is the price and whatever is the level of output that the company is selling, if we multiply the price by output, that will give us total revenue. In the form of in this chart, in this graph, in this plot, the total revenue region is this one. Now, if what happens if the company produces decides to produce Q1 quantity instead of Q star, or decides to produce less number of output than Q star? In that case, the total revenue will be equal to P1. This is P1 and this is Q1 multiplied by Q1. So the area, the area, this total revenue will be lesser. This will be lesser than the area of P star multiplied by Q star. So that is why this is not optimum. This will not be optimum. So if the firm produces a smaller output, say Q1, it sacrifices some profit because the extra revenue that could be earned from producing and selling the units between Q1 and Q star exceeds the cost of producing them. Let me take up the same thing. At Q1, what is the average cost? Average cost is here.
So can you tell please which area is bigger, Q1 or Q star? Means the total revenue 1 or total revenue star, which area is bigger?
P star multiplied by Q star. The area, this area will be bigger than P1 multiplied by Q1. Because at this level, that is P star multiplied by Q star, this area is defined by the point where MR is equal to MC. So if the firm decides to produce Q1, the total revenue of the firm will be less. Let me demonstrate the same point from another angle. Look at this point, that is Q1. So at Q1, marginal revenue is here, isn't it? And average cost curve is here.
Okay.
And at this point, average cost is slightly lower. And this is average cost is slightly higher.
Yes, sir.
So if the average cost is low, the profit will be more. This is, basically because profit is what? Price minus average cost per unit. This is profit. Profit per unit is equal to price per unit minus average cost per unit. So at this level, the average cost is lower, and at this level, the average cost is slightly higher. That is also one reason why at Q1, the total revenue of the firm will be less, and the profit will also be less. Now let me show you another example. Similarly, if the firm decides to sell more, that is Q2, from Q star to Q2, that will also reduce the profit because the additional cost would exceed the additional revenue. Because this is also the additional cost is more than additional revenue. So the firm can decide the optimum level based on MR is equal to MC. Based on this, the firm can decide optimum level of profit, optimum level of quantity at which the profit of the monopoly is maximum. Waqas Ahmed has written, but that's not a monopolistic market. The mere presence of blue origin is enough to eliminate the characteristic of monopoly market. Yes, in the a monopoly, ideally a monopoly market is one where there is only a single firm. So the space exploration market would not be a monopoly market if there are many players in the industry. Of course, your point is good. Not in the business yet. Okay, Waris Hussain is saying that it's not in the business yet. Yes, but they are taking, people are booking their journey to the space already. See, this region is the profit. This earlier I was talking about the whole region. The whole region is total revenue. If we minus the cost, the total revenue minus total cost, that will be profit. So this whole region is actually the region of total revenue, and this region is for the cost. Why? Because the average cost at this point is this is the average cost point. So if we minus the cost aspect of the revenue, that will give us profit. So the profit of the firm will be this region. Total revenue minus total cost will be the profit. Another way of showing the same thing is the profit region. Why this is profit region? Because this area is basically cost. And if we combine the profit plus cost, that will give us total revenue of the firm. Now let us take another example of break even. This is example of break even because average cost is just touching here, and average cost is equal to average revenue. This is the point where average revenue is equal to average cost. Average cost or average total cost, both are same thing. So this is the point where average revenue is equal to average cost, and this is the point of no profit, no loss, or break even. Break even point. So in this case, the firm is neither making profit nor loss because average revenue is equal to average cost. And this is example of loss because the average cost is more than average revenue. This is average revenue curve, that is D. I'm writing here because D and average revenue are both same thing. So this is average revenue curve, and this is a total cost curve, and total cost is more than average revenue. Average cost is more than average revenue. Average cost is more than average revenue. So that is why the firm will make loss. So that is why, and the loss area is depicted by this region. And why this? How this line is defined? This line is the point where MR is equal to MC. The corresponding quantity is the optimum level of production for the firm. So that is why we are starting a line. We are deciding the location of Q or this line by the point of intersection of MR and MC. So the point where MR cuts MC is the optimum point. So if at that point the average total cost is more than average revenue, in that case the firm will make loss. And if the average revenue is more than average cost, in that case the firm will make a profit, will be a profit making firm. So now we will continue the discussion on this in the next class. Now let me save your attendance. Okay, thank you very much for joining this class.